After several years away living in different states, we've come full circle, landing back in Victoria where it all started. But our journey's not over yet. In fact, it's really just the beginning. So we hooked up the van and hit the road, chasing the sun around Australia for the next several months. We caught the Spirit of Tasmania over at Easter and headed straight up the Murray to spend some time with the family for the long weekend. From there we spent a few weeks in our hometowns, and the first thing on the menu was a day at Sovereign Hill in Ballarat. Both Hayley and I were pretty keen to get back in here, as we hadn't been here since we were kids and wanted to get Ireland at a gold mine in spirit. It really is like stepping back in time. There's so much attention to detail and it's loads of fun for all ages. Don't feel like you need to have kids to check this place out. It's probably more for adults than anyone. When we arrived in Victoria, we had a rough idea of what we wanted to accomplish, but very little in the way of future planning. So we took some time to slow down, relax and catch up with family and friends. I spent a bit too much of this time looking at local real estate, and we ended up buying ourselves a couple of acres in the country. This was honestly one of the best things for us mentally, as it's really grounded us. We now know our end game, and it's enabled us to set a time frame for our lap around Australia and plan for our new life among family in Victoria. As much as I'm enjoying this time away, I strangely long for the repetitive groundhog mortgage slave lifestyle we used to call the Australian dream. But until that day comes and I swallow my own words, we're on the move. So we set off on our first stop in Halls Gap, which has always been a favourite location in Victoria for us and holds some strong memories in our relationship. I did do the Pinnacle Walk while I was here, which I filmed. However, I was so relaxed at the time, I forgot to back it up. Also, just before this, we visited the Melbourne Museum with some friends, and I lost that whole day at the same time. Yeah, well, live and learn. From there, we headed north and found ourselves on this silo art trail through rural Victoria. I've always stopped to soak up these giant works of art and grab a snap where I can. I actually got a shot from Outback, Queensland printed on an Australia postcard years ago. That was back in the day when people could actually see your content on Instagram, unlike these days. We ended up stopping at Lake Lascelles for the night, which turned into a couple of nights as it was such a peaceful location. Next we head to Lake Tyrrell, or Tyrrell, however it's pronounced, which is a giant salt lake just near Sea Lake. It was windy as cold and hell, but as Hayley and I had never been to a salt lake before, it was a pretty cool experience for them. After that, we headed to Mildura for a few days. I spent most of my time putting an inverter in the van, so there was countless trips to automotive stores and around town, with a lot of overall procrastination on my behalf. However, during this time, we did go out in the Paddle Steamer Melbourne, which was far cooler than I planned. It was launched in 1913, and watching that beast of a steam engine get stoked the whole time was a real treat for the senses. we had no real planned route, just northbound to escape the cold. The majority of the journey has been a complete wing it attitude, and for the best part it's worked up until Darwin so far. In the next video, we'll cross the border into South Australia and spend a couple of weeks cruising through the centre of Australia before we attack the territory. If you enjoyed this, stay tuned as there's way more exciting stuff to come. And as always, thanks for watching.